Hello, folks. Welcome to another. Thank you, Jonathan. You fucking idiot. Hey, folks. Welcome to another episode of Watch Graps with me. I'm Cutter, joined as usual by Jonathan and Foxy, and our very, very, very special guest this episode is the woke queen herself, Debbie Keitel. It's great to see you, Debbie. How are you?
Hi. How's it going?
So what we're doing is a really actually cool topic that we haven't done before here on Watch Graps with me, and it is our opinion on who we think are the most influential female wrestlers of the past 30 years. So we got some really great choices in there as well to choose from. So we're going to watch the matches. The links are down below, so you can watch along with us as well, and let us know in the comments as well if you agree, disagree, whatever you want. Put in your own opinions down there as well. Make sure you like and subscribe if you like the video, all that stuff. And without further ado, I think I'll hand it over to Jonathan as we get it underway.
Yes, certainly. Thank you, Dennis, for that powerful intro. This is the reason we have you on the channel.
Yeah.
You're actually quite good at this sort of stuff.
All those years in broadcasting did something for me.
Oh man, yeah, no, you can barely see.
Didn't let me keep a job, but they did something for me.
Well, I'm sure one day someone will pick you up, Dennis.
One day.
The hottest free agent going in radio, folks. That's Anyway, so I thought I'd start off by going a little bit into the archives for this time around. And again, I'm going for something a bit left field for my own taste because I would have been 3 when this match happened. But I was thinking, when I was kind of thinking about influential women, I was thinking like it's fair to go to kind of the start, at least for the more kind of like the modern era, as it were, because we were thinking of like the last 30 years or so. And I was thinking the best way of describing it was going for a kind of notable feud, because for me, I do kind of believe in the takes to the tango type system, and especially when it comes to like laying down kind of groundwork and breaking molds. I don't think you can go really wrong with Alundra Blaze and Bull Nakano. Like they have a feud that transcends wrestling promotions. You know, like I could have picked the match they had in All Japan, which is a complete absolute fucking banger, or pick anything they had in WWF, and that's what I've done because they brought this feud in a sense over to WWF, and I would like to think it impressed a lot of people because again at the time there was not much of a call for it from WWF themselves, in fairness. And they just happened to have a super talented Alundra Blaze and this like force of nature in Bull Nakano. Like these fuckers didn't know how good they had it at the time. Like, so yeah, what the match I picked is I think perhaps their best one in the WWF side of the feud, which is the one from SummerSlam 1994. Because they were meant to be on WrestleMania, but they got moved to the Raw match, and they were trying to set up a different feud at the same time. It's like, no, let's give them let's give people the full Blaze Nakano feud. So I think the one from SummerSlam is the best one out of that lot. So that's the one we're hopefully going to watch now. So, folks, I think you should have your links ready.
Jonathan, just to ask, because if you had to pick one of those because we can do feuds, but we're picking an individual woman. Who would you, Alundra or Bull?
I think Nakano. If I had to pick, it would be Nakano, because I think she was just so different to everyone else. Like there would have been no one else, like outside of Luna Vachon, perhaps, which is appropriate because she didn't.
That's true.
Well, you know, but like Luna was a very similar thing. Like she was just all character and so powerful in the way she kind of carried herself. And Bull was kind of the same way. But Bull had the kind of the power to back it up in the ring as well. Like when she was in the ring, you felt the intimidation, you know, and that's what made it great. So she had the look, she had the character, she had the ring gear to go with it. Everything was perfect with her. So I suppose out of these two, it's a bit harsh on Alundra perhaps, because again, I do believe it has to be to the tango, but between the two, I'd say it's marginally Bull, I think. Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, if you'd like to count us down then, and for the audience at home, we'll start watching.
It'd be my pleasure. So in that case, lads, on 3, 2, 1, play.
Okay. Oh man, look at the simple set.
Yeah. Don't make them like that anymore.
No, there's something really appealing about it though.
It's the fades. It's the fade of colors.
Although, was it just to get more seats in, to get behind the?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely. Look at that presentation though.
Oh yeah.
And she's with Luna.
I love Luna. I've always loved Luna.
She's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I don't think she got a fair shot.
Oh, Bull got her hands into Paul Tracy's wardrobe.
I think it's the other way around, Dennis.
Some amount of hairspray.
Yeah.
Like, when I had really long hair, I tried that once, and I emptied like 2 cans, and it just it didn't turn out that way.
You just bored one night.
Pretty much.
I would know whatever. Like, I would pay great money to see Fox Nakano. Like in just one, I really would like. Just to wind up Joe, even that'd be fucking great. Like, just
considering when he dyed his hair green, Joe nearly fucking.
I was gonna say, like, he had a canary.
Well, I could keep the blue and just like show up. It's like, there you go.
He's not the boss of you. You can do whatever you want.
Ah, pal, what are you doing to me?
Jesus. Anyway.
Lundra.
Not many women can rock the bodysuit as well.
Star straight away. That's what I love about this. Like the star quality is just already there when you see them. There's nothing artificial about this. Like these two are just genuine, tangible stars. And then you have Luna thrown in for great measure.
Yeah, and back then they wouldn't have really gotten an entrance. They'd be
exactly
in ring straight away. So like you can see there, they're making their big entrances and taking their time and like soaking it up, because that just wouldn't be a thing back then. They would have been just presented in the ring on TV.
Definitely,
100%. And like back then as well, I mean, at this particular time in WWF, Alundra was nearly the only thing going as far as female competitors were concerned.
Yeah.
I always, whenever I think of her career, I think it's sad that it's marred by the WCW incident.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't her decision. She was fucking told to do that by her boss, her new boss.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Never got that though. Like with companies back in the day, like if you knew their contract was coming up, why let them have the belt before?
I think it was kind of just a kind of an unspoken agreement that it didn't happen. But then, I mean, that's not entirely true either, because Ric Flair showed up with the big gold belt before that. So,
well, he paid for it, so that's why.
To be fair, that was his. Yeah, come on.
Had that in his garage.
I really like that starting to kind of slow, drawn out, just staring at each other for just a minute.
Mm-hmm. You can tell that this feud has been going on for a while, with the kind of like, the stare down and then the fast pace kind of let's get straight into it. Like,
I was going to say, Debbie, obviously somebody has experienced this yourself as well. Like, I mean, it's got to be a level of comfort when you're in there with somebody that you know just that well that you could almost do with your eyes closed. Yeah,
definitely. Like towards the end of like my feud with Raven Creed, we were pretty much able to call most of that in the ring.
Yeah.
And there wasn't kind of much planning, because we just knew each other's stuff inside out.
And you went up and down the country with that feud as well.
Yeah, all over for like 2 years.
That's in the ladder match very much comes to mind there. As is the case that it felt like a culmination, but because like you're just so kind of natural in that sense, you could like, of course, a ladder match makes sense. It's a great culmination.
Yeah.
That's a leg drop.
Nobody hits a leg drop like Bull Nakano.
No, it's one of the few I've seen that I actually believe.
It's a finish. Yeah.
Definitely. That's before she hits the top rope as well.
Yeah.
I meant, like, before I did this, I started looking back on some of the old, like, the Joshi wrestling, and there's some absolute crackers there.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like, from Bell, they're gone. Like, they're just 90 miles an hour, but, like, solid.
Yeah.
But that's interesting for the time as well. Like, for instance, like, I would have, if this was a best female match ever, I'd have a completely different choice to what I picked.
Yeah.
not saying that any of the influential women didn't have great matches, but it's just how wow. Just such a simple spot, and it just looked so great. Just pulling her hair back over the top.
It's because it's all done with aggression as well. It's not thrown away movements.
I was just going to say, like, Bull really kind of, she knew herself. She knew how to carry herself.
Yeah.
Like Raven Creed would be very similar to Bull Nakano in the sense that they both have that aggressive kind of scrappy style.
Yeah.
That is very true. Actually, Raven Creed, friend of the show. Who hasn't actually been on speaking about wrestling yet. She's been on speaking about Buffy.
Oh.
I should really set the pace for what this channel actually is, isn't it? Like, you know, it's like...
It can be fucking Anton.
Debbie's one of the few actual wrestlers on to talk about wrestling.
Not an easy thing to do either.
Well, now let's be
like
fair. Oh no, actually, I was going to say we had Louis and all them. It's like, no, they weren't on talking about wrestling either.
Yeah, he was on that angel. Like.
We had Katie on.
Yes, that's true. We had Katie on, yes.
And WCW.
Yes.
That's right.
Good old days.
I laugh because like it was a sneaky good one, like really good one, because the choices, like that's
look
what
at the facials from both are just fantastic.
Like what I love about this, like doing this show, is that like you sneakily like get back into wrestling, like watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when we find out what theme we're doing, it's just like, okay, now I have to go down the rabbit hole and see which one I want to do, and you don't realize how much good wrestling there actually is out there, especially when you have to narrow it down. It's just like
that's why I quite like this suggestion, because like it made me kind of think like naturally it wasn't a case of having the best like women's match. It wasn't about that. It was about who had impressed for the time and who was breaking molds. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Look at that.
Case in point there, like.
Oh, yes.
Like if you're a fan,
there's so many hidden gems when you go back that far. Like there's stuff that you would not see now.
Yeah. And the stuff that you could use now, like even when Nakano was in the Boston Crab there, the way she just like properly put her weight on the back, like that made it look genuinely sore. Like that's something that like you're thinking like, oh well, of course I should do that. That makes complete sense. Why wasn't I doing that before? You know, and that's the kind of thing. Like, there's always something you can nick off this old stuff because there's such a great subtlety in it. You know.
Yeah.
But not only that, like the logic, behind it, like she has her completely tied up. Like she's not moving toward that rope. So in order to combat that, she's pulling the hair. Referee has to count. As soon as he gets to a high number, boom, let it go, and now you can just pound her now. It's brilliant.
But this is overlooked as well because of the time frame when it was, and unfortunately, female competitors were not taken as seriously as they should have been. And like this is a great little match. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Like, and they obviously don't have they obviously know going out there they don't have a lot of time to kind of do what they want to do. But
they're making the most of it in this one.
100%. Like they went out, they started on fire. Now they're slowing it down a touch, but they're getting across the monster, you know, the David versus Goliath, the kind of the Alundra against all the odds.
And it's great having Luna out there as well, because Bull, the feud had gone on for so long that Bull was almost appearing badass in a babyface way. So to have Luna out there with her to just give her that extra bit of heat and kind of keep the crowd behind Alundra as opposed to getting on Bull Nakano.
Definitely. And the thing about Luna at the time as well is she was a complete heat magnet.
Yeah.
Like even just from her appearance, people just loved to hate her.
Like it was her and Sherry
stood the role.
They didn't have to do anything. They just get automatically booed. Like it just got immediate reaction, and that's so hard to get, like, because like some people enjoy the stick, but to have that automatic like, oh no, not you, boo.
There you go.
Yeah.
Lovely little bridge out.
That's a staple in Joshi wrestling.
Yeah.
Like, you go back and look at any classic match, you'll guaranteed one of them is gonna get out of pin that way.
Yeah, that's where Becky Lynch got it from. The
Is it
bridge
really?
from her time in Japan? Yeah.
Wasn't aware of that.
There you go. Learn something new every day, Dennis, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that was lovely. That power bomb.
And you know, the minute this match was finished, that they went backstage and they were told, "You shouldn't have done this. You shouldn't have done that." But,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
they're just taking advantage of the time they've been given out there.
Because, you know, I don't know, they probably thought they showed up, some of the men or whatever.
Yeah.
Fucking
Like good.
sorry, if they're showing you up, they should take your spot. Like, I mean, you know, like.
Oh no, you took.
Very nice.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, I always loved her bridge in German.
Yeah.
One of the best.
It's hard not to appreciate a good bridge, like bridge and move.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's the control on the opponent as well. The amount of times people are Germans and they roll through or they fall to the side. You know, it's all about the person taking it as well.
Beautiful, right? Okay.
I love the finish of this because it comes completely out of nowhere. Like Nakano's been on the offense for the entire match, and it just took one bridge in German, 1, 2, 3, and it even like rocks Luna because she thought she had the match under control as well.
Yeah.
And that's the perfect springboard. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think they had the All Japan match then a couple of months after this, and it was like a 27-minute like mini movie, and I think they kind of won the title there. And it kind of juggled around a few people, and then it went to the Mania match then, where Alundra won it back then, as far as I can remember. But I took that one because it was a nice springboard for that feud, and then they moved on then to bigger chapters after that then.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll start off with the scoring, I suppose. I really enjoyed it. Match-wise, really enjoyed it. Real solid. Everything, as Debbie touched on, everything meant something. I thought the ending was very smart. You kind of kept Bull looking like a big monster, and Alundra had to kind of sneak out her victory. She didn't look like she had to cheat or anything, but she had to kind of, you know, go against the odds. Luna there was a brilliant addition. I mean, those girls, and with Bull as well, yeah, in a time where women were getting no respect in the business, they were still going out there and doing what they had to do to try and get noticed. Now, in Japan, they were getting noticed a lot more, and rightfully so. And it would take years for kind of Western culture to catch up to that. But as far as Bull being influential and instrumental, I have to go relatively high. I think she's a little marred by her time. Again, that's not her fault. That's the fucking time. But I'm going to go relatively high. I'm going to go 8. 8 out of 10.
Happy with that, yeah.
So for me, looking at it, it's like this would be a definite like underappreciated match, because like it just fall under the radar completely. But I mean, like watching it there, like what Dennis said, it's very solid. There's no wasted motion because Bull's experience in Japan, and Luna was kept to the bare minimum of being involved, which is a great thing. It shows that she knows her role and what she has to do. But like, yeah, I really enjoy that. Like, I give that an 8 as well.
Fair enough.
Good.
That.
And Debbie?
Yeah, that is genuinely one of my favorite matches. You could just tell like it had been an ongoing feud that they were looking forward to kind of showcasing the whole story, and there was little nods to previous matches throughout that as well. And then with the quick kind of snap German bridge at the very end, making, you know, Alundra look like the ultimate baby face, defeating the big warrior, you know, it just excellent storytelling. Everything was just really solid, and just the characteristics, and with including Luna on the apron as well, like Foxy said, knowing her role and kind of enhancing the situation where it needed to be, but not taking away from the performers. You could not like swing a cat without hitting a girl in a locker room who doesn't idolize Bull Nakano. So yeah, I would give her 8 out of 10 in terms of influencing over the last 30 years.
That's a solid score to start, I think. Jonathan, what?
Pretty damn a good opener. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Very good. You've got to be feeling good about that. Right. Well, next up, and I believe I've sent you the link there, Debbie. We have my choice. So I picked this as where Jonathan went back a little further. I decided to go back to the 90s. I think. Is it 90? No, it's not. It's 2000s, isn't it?
2003, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
2003, early 2000s. To two of arguably the women who kind of really begun the path to the evolution. My choice is Lita. But the match we're going to be watching is Lita versus Trish. Now, the reason I picked this particular match is this is the very first women's main event of in Raw history. So it was a big deal at the time because their feud was pretty hot. Like it was popular. Both were over, and in all the kind of wrestlers I like, female wrestlers I've spoken to, much like Debbie said with Bull, a lot of them that I've spoken to stayed Lita as one of their inspirations, one of their heroes coming up. I vividly remember her as a huge part of wrestling when I was growing up in the 90s, and I think she has influenced women who are now lighting up the scene in wrestling, and I think herself and Trish both broke out in a time where again companies were more concentrating on looks a lot than they were on ability. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. It's just these two seem to shine more than others. That's what I think.
No, I totally agree. Yeah.
So if everybody is ready, I will count it down. And 3, 2, 1, play. Oh God, Jerry Lawler.
Oh yeah, like the commentary on majority of these matches is absolutely tragic. Like,
yeah, I'm gonna have to lower that volume. I can't put up with fucking sexist Jerry Lawler commentary right now.
The fellow must be chained to the fucking desk in this one. Like he must just put a muzzle on the man, for God's sake.
There's I was doing my research, and there was a match with I think it was Trish and possibly Lita and Molly. No, Trish and Victoria, and Molly Holly is on commentary, and the whole time he ignores the match and keeps asking Molly Holly if she's a virgin or not the whole way through the match, and it's just trash. It's just...
It actually makes it difficult to watch now. And like, I mean,
I normally just mute the
yeah,
like, to be honest.
Like, look, I'm not. It's just, it makes it. When you're growing up or whatever, it's like, you know, yeah, you know, teenage boy, grand. But like looking back now, it's just like cringe every time so hard when he starts talking about fucking puppies and shit. It's like, dude, you know, you. Trish Stratus, I know she's not my choice. I'm just gonna say, as a woman who came in, she worked so damn hard to get so much better.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
I saw something when she first came in recently with what was the tag team? It was TNA. When she was with Test and Albert, and like, it was clear she wasn't overly comfortable or anything like that in the ring, but my God, she worked hard.
Yeah. That was a main takeaway for me, because I remember even watching this when I was younger at the time, watching this, and in a way, like, I thought nothing of this main event because it made sense this is a main event. You know, like it didn't feel like this was like a, patronizing in any way. Like they earned this because at the time this was the biggest feud going on Raw at the time. Like everything else was at a kind of like a low ebb, whereas this one, I don't know if it's this match or the one beforehand where Lita has an awful dive and she kind of like spikes herself.
Oh Jesus! Yeah,
like that was
it's this one.
Yeah.
Is it this one?
And
yeah.
I'm dreading it.
Yeah, but again, it shows you how much.
Look at that.
That's fantastic. It goes to just show you, like, that's how much they were willing to do to get noticed and make that impression on people. And you know what? It worked. Like, especially with Lita. Like, Lita was known for doing the big stunts because she was with the Hardy Boys for a long time. Yeah. And then the stuff afterwards, when she kind of broke away from the Hardys, like, she never lost. She never lost that.
Here we
fire.
go. Oh God.
Joe, I'm actually sorry I mentioned it now, to be honest. I jinxed this now. I'm sorry.
It never gets easier to watch.
Nasty.
And like, when you look at that, you also think about like other instances with people getting hurt during a match and continuing on.
Yeah.
Like that's a serious thing to happen, and she continued the match.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wasn't she legit injured? I can't quite remember. Wasn't
she broke her neck?
Yeah.
Broke it.
Yeah, she broke her neck. Because after this, she was out for a fair part of a year.
Yeah.
And they replayed it. Oh.
That's what I never understood, why they replayed it. I would go to crowd reaction or something. Let's not bring that back up.
Forget in the back. Please don't keep showing that. Unless I do something like Titus O'Neil. Like, please don't show me falling on my head. Like,
yeah, it's on a scale, isn't it? It's a scale of like some of that, and it's also like Takamichi. You know, it's like it's that kind of like scale.
If I make a goofball of myself, cool. Yeah, knock yourself out. But if I hurt myself, please don't.
If I actually do knock myself out, don't do that.
If I do, I don't know, Debbie, were you at the school show when Maxer?
It
was
Max. With the mop bucket backstage, and he came. I was in the crowd for that one.
Paddy M. Just with the sign.
I mean, why not like jump on it and make fun of the situation?
Oh yeah.
You know,
nobody was hurt. You know.
Yeah.
Fun.
It's funny looking at the clip again.
I know.
That particular little
face
spot
is just like.
You know that hanging little sleeper spot. I love that. It's a really simple thing to do, but it looks vicious as hell.
Yeah.
Some whipping us.
Like at this point here, like the way they've presented Lita is like completely anti-diva, which is so appealing then, purely because up until this point, like Trish was kind of coming in, but we had the likes of Marlena, you know, we just kind of got over the Sunny situation. And at that point, like beautiful women were only kind of seen ringside.
Yes.
So to bring these two in and then present Lita in a whole different way just shows the diversity there, and like it just created a great matchup. Like you've got kind of the edgy kind of, you know, anti-hero versus you know the pretty blonde, you know, that kind of way. So it's like two different.
Here we go again.
Yeah, because they see it in slow motion this time.
Thousands of angles. But that's the thing, like it's a great point because having a contrast of characters like that is kind of the reason why the roster looks so varied now.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm only kind of even looking at it now, even if you compare, if you see what kind of any kind of company, their roster has so many unique looking like women's wrestlers, and that's by design because they all have their own personality and character. You know? And it comes down to something like this, where, as you said, like you were just after the Attitude Era, where you had like Deborah, Ivory, and so forth. You had all these people who, in a sense, were kind of.
Well, now hold on. Ivory does not go into the same fucking category.
No, I picked the wrong person there. But it's the same point. They all kind of came in the same mold. They were all cast the same way, except for the likes of Ivory doing Right to Censor and great crack like that. Again, pure contrast with everything else.
Right to Censor, I said this before on the show, was one of my favorite gimmicks of all time.
Oh, genius.
I loved every second of it.
That gimmick would work so well now.
Oh, wouldn't it?
Just because like I know TNA tried to do it with cancel culture, but like that didn't work.
We don't speak of that.
RVD was in it. So there you go. That's all that was in it. It was just him.
That's right.
Don't you know this?
The only person worth fucking mentioning.
Yeah.
The only thing is, you'd have to get Stevie Richards back in, like with the shaved head and the socks.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's legit. Like that was his character, was that he wore white socks, and quite honestly, I think that works. That works.
It's brilliant.
It's true. And you know, they've tried, like, well, not they, because I suppose she was doing it stuff, but they've tried the whole, to Debbie's point, the anti-diva thing again with Paige later on. Now it worked in NXT, not so much when she moved up, but then again, that was a reflection on how different brands were treating women's wrestling. NXT were treating it, I think it's fair to say, much more legitimately than the main roster were at the time.
What role?
Wow.
Brilliant.
That's something you don't see
and
often.
She has a broken damn neck.
Yeah.
That's why, like, after seeing that early bump to the outside, you're just like, every single bump now, you're just like, oh no. Like, how's she still going?
Mental.
It's got to be a mix of adrenaline, realizing how important this moment was as well. Again, as I said, this was the first time women got to main event Raw.
You can definitely tell.
There you go. Look at that crowd. Look how fucking over she is.
Oh yeah.
Unreal.
Like, you can definitely tell that, like, as it goes on, she's getting a little bit more sluggish, especially when it comes to her neck.
In her arms, like a bit more. Like her arms are moving slower. Like she's doing less movements.
Yeah.
Like just from my personal experience, from getting injured in a match and like having one eye like solid shut, couldn't see, and trying to get through the match. At first, the adrenaline kicks in, and you're like, it's fine. But then when you have like, you know, a couple of seconds to realize what happened, you automatically feel like sick, kind of. It's like a, oh my god,
panic,
like,
kind of. What do I do?
Yeah, because you're like, am I okay? I'm still standing, but is everything okay? Because people keep coming over to me asking, am I okay? So
you're making it worse.
Yeah, it's like, just please shush.
Do you hear that, Foxy? Fuck off.
It wasn't Foxy. It wasn't Foxy. It was the main event for Defiant
2, I think. 3. Yeah, 3.
Yeah. And it was Chris Sharp that was reffing, and I just remember going back into the ring.
Typical Chris.
Huh?
Typical fucking Chris.
Such a nice guy, Chris.
He's doing his job.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember that.
But yeah, to your point, it's like I suppose you're thinking like, you know, fuck, am I okay to go on? Because not only are you hurt, but you don't want to do something that's going to potentially, if you're not up to 100%, injure your opponent. You don't want, you know, you want to still be safe and all that. And if you, a nerve-wracking thing, definitely. So, guys, that was my choice. If you would like to begin voting, Jonathan, do you want to take this one?
Sure. I will be giving you a very high score, Dennis, because I fully endorse Lita as a very influential person. Quite honestly, because as that match proves, she is one of the toughest people you'll ever find on this fucking earth. And to go through, to have a spill like that and still follow through the match, and I don't think like really they lost anything out of that match. They probably did like follow through with everything they wanted to do. Like all the spots were there, all the storytelling was there. They didn't cut anything out. They kept that match pretty much exactly as it was, and it shows. And just for even the stuff that she was doing outside of this feud, like again previously with the Hardy Boys and doing all these things, the fact that like at the time, oh, it's a girl doing it was a big deal. Now, not so much, but that's the thing. It's normalized now because of someone doing it at the time and making it feel like possible in a sense. And then you have the feud with Trish, which again reinforces that point as well. So for me, it's a 9, because I think Lita really is like one of the top stars out there in that regard, like totally influential, and as we've all said, like a generation of women's wrestlers all inspired by Lita in some regards, you know. So definitely 9 for me.
Like watching it, it's just like, because I've only watched it a handful of times, but like this, like, and not recently, but watching it there, it's just like having that spill, like that's a serious like thing to happen, like for her to get hurt in that way, and for her to continue on, and not necessarily like lose too much of a step with it, like still continue, finish the match, like I said earlier, and like what Jonathan said, it didn't seem like they cut out anything in the process.
Hmm.
It just shows like how tough she is and how bad these two wanted that,
Definitely,
especially
yeah.
at that time. It like with all the divas, like it basically like it became like models coming in and just, yeah, they're there for eye candy as opposed to being there for actually to wrestle. So yeah, like I don't I don't doubt like Leah's contribution to the business, because like you see the influence today, like in the majority of like women that come into the business. So yeah, I give it an A, like easily.
Perfect. And Debbie?
Yeah, like you can tell that they both went into that and thought, you know, we're not going for a standard women's match. We're going for best match on the card, and you know, we're gonna go out there and give it everything. We're not just gonna do the bare minimum. So like you can tell they went above and beyond. And even with the spill out after, when Lita hits her neck, she's not giving up, because she knows she may never ever get that chance again. And then here we are, you know, WrestleMania coming up, and we've got, you know, women in the main event, and it's just incredible. Like the likes of Lita, like that, the influence among the indie scene, like you look at Casey Owens, like she's obsessed with Lita, and you can see it in her look, in her movement, everything. Like, and I just think I think Lita is like in top 5 when it comes to influence over the years. And you know, she's done commentary, she's done producing, she was along the ride for the likes of Tough Enough. She's constantly within the business doing something, and you can tell she genuinely loves it. Like, she started off as a Nitro girl in WCW, and you
Now
know,
that I wasn't aware of.
yeah, and
That
she
I
worked
wasn't
her
aware of.
ass off, you know, to be, you
I
know.
knew her from Miss Congeniality in ECW.
Yeah.
I didn't know the WCW. That's wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can tell she worked her ass off to be, you know, a part of this business. And, you know, from the get-go, her being the anti-diva, you could tell that she wanted to make that change, and she really did. So I would give her a 9 out of 10.
Awesome.
Nicely
Great.
done.
Yeah. I know, just another thing, like I know I mentioned already, but like Leah, to see how I know it's been fixed. It's been sort of remedied recently with her Hall of Fame and all that, but how she exited the company and all that, and like kind of essentially shamed for her personal life, was just, I mean, to do that to one of your biggest female stars was just terrible at the time. So yeah, fuck you guys for doing that to her at the time. That's it. But anyway, happy. We'll continue on. Who have we got next?
Next up will be a certain Chicago street fight.
This is Debbie's choice.
Yes. So for me personally, I think that the woman that's influenced me the most, and I believe has influenced the industry for both men and women, is Victoria. So I picked the Trish Stratus versus Victoria Chicago street fight with Stevie Richards accompanying Victoria. The reason I picked Victoria is because she kind of withstood so many kind of different eras. So she debuted in 2000 as one of the Godfather's lady friends. And you know, they were really interested in her. They loved her look. And instead of jumping in and doing what Sonny did, or kind of learning the ropes as she went on tour, she went to OVW and learned how to become a wrestler, and became a wrestler. And then when she debuted in 2002, she was just kind of reminiscent of China. And, you know, we had lost China the year before in 2001. And I just think her stature, her persona, her confidence, and her genuine legitimacy in the ring, I just think is unmatched. Not only did she kind of survive, I suppose, the Attitude Era, but she also kind of survived the Diva Era. And she's probably the only female wrestler to go from both. So she started in 2000 and she left in 2009 with her final match against Michelle McCool. So you can see how many different kind of chapters there were throughout that journey. And I just think she's one of those women that's just given so much to the business over the years, whether it be in WWE, in TNA, and on the indies as well. So, so this is the match I picked.
Great choice. Would you like to count us down, Debbie?
Yep. So 4.
Has to be different.
Don't go too high. Foxy can't follow at that point. Like he can only go
yeah, he can barely get to 3. Hey.
3, 2, 1.
Second match in a row. We've heard that laugh.
Once again, Jerry Lawrence changed to his desk for his own well-being. To be fair, he's actually.
Oh look, it's Stevie!
God damn it, Stevie!
Stevie Richards.
Mega points because Stevie Richards is here.
And this genuinely revived his career after Righteous Answer. Like this was this was the best thing going on Raw. And like because this is about a year from the Survivor Series street fight that they had, this is all a nod. It's just in reverse. So this spot here would have originally been done on Trish, but now Trish is doing it to Victoria. So there's just loads of nods throughout this match. I just think it's really
which is really smart to do.
Yeah,
you know.
It's great.
And one thing about Victoria I always loved, and it's again touching on what you said. There's never a moment I doubted her toughness.
Yeah.
Like how she carried herself, her execution, everything. I always thought that's a tough lady. Like she could go with any of them, you know.
Yeah.
I just love that. It's
what
like
are you laughing at?
Jumping in the ring. It's like pose with the belt. Get out of here. I'm going back.
She had to pose with the belt.
It's full character.
Cheap
It's
heat,
I love
Foxy.
it.
Cheap heat.
She was ready for a close-up. Come on, man. That's hell.
We are at 100 miles an hour straight out the gate. This is brilliant.
Yeah.
And like, I know I personally have been in a lot of kind of gimmick matches and stuff like that. And sometimes when I watch them, I just get kind of frustrated because it'd just be spot fest. Here's a shovel, here's a bin. But this is legit, like this is all storytelling. They're not going mad on grabbing things straight away. Like they're actually wrestling and telling a story here. And that the
this is actually
props to the story, you know.
That's actually something we've touched on previous episodes of this show, actually, when talking about ladder matches, etc., and gimmick matches. There's a big difference for just using everything in the kitchen sink and using stuff, you know, when it makes sense and when it needs to be used. You don't have to oversaturate it to get your point across.
Oh yeah, as is often the case, like less is more. Like do what you can, do what you want with like your certain spot. Like even stuff with the trash can here, like you could use that throughout the entire match and it makes sense rather than having just like plunder everywhere. You know, have a key part of the story. You know, but yeah, much to the point about even the opening like spot there is like that. As again, I actually didn't recall that at all. So that makes complete sense now because you are jumping in like either I suppose like the middle / end of the field.
Oh.
Like even this here now, this is if we go back to Survivor Series 2002, this was actually done. This spot here was actually done on Victoria, but now she's getting her payback.
Ah, very good.
And have they reversed roles of face and heel as well? I can't remember.
No, Victoria was pretty much a heel up until I think 2007, where the crowd just wanted to give Victoria a chance because she was in that diva era and she was getting by, you know, all these like really small model stature, and they just weren't buying it anymore. So she kind of accidentally became a babyface.
It's because people started to actually appreciate that she was the wrestler out of the group. But I mean, like, when you watch like matches like this, it's like you don't like what Jonathan said. You don't have to have like too much stuff there. You can make it visually like a thing that there's all these weapons. You're basically allowing yourself the option. So like, if you're because you don't want to restrict yourself and say like, right, I need the kendo stick.
Yeah.
No, there's other things there.
Yeah.
So if that's in reach, I'll take that and I'll use that instead.
Yeah.
You can still do the same spots.
Exactly. Like, look at Victoria's spill out. She didn't roll out. She didn't feel like she sold it out of the ring. There's other ways out of the ring apart from just rolling out, you know.
Yeah, and it looked impactful. Like,
It
one thing I
like
always loved about Victoria as well was at the time when she was there, her finish. She had one of the only legit looking finishers.
Yeah.
Molly Holly gave her that finish.
Did she?
Yeah.
Molly Holly, underrated completely.
Oh.
She's been getting some more appreciation lately.
This is my favorite. Look at that. It just reminds me of Woe Queens and CT Flex or something like that.
I could definitely see that. Yeah.
Given the choice, like, I mean, to be fair, if you ever get Stevie Richards, like, you have a spot, like, that's it. He's already in there. All he has to do is do this, wear white socks, and he's over. Job done.
He has a cushy. He's working for DDP now. He has a cushy number.
He still got booked.
The one thing about Victoria is that, like, I never questioned, like, how believable her offense is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like
a slap,
big old slap.
Like, just everything looked like it was meant to hurt.
Definitely. And you can see why she was healed for so long. Like, she just carries that persona and character so well. And again, I'm sure as a case, she's probably one of the nicest people outside the ring, which is great because you can tell, like, some people are just enjoying being the heel that much, you know. So it's that kind of legitimacy to it.
It was actually Fit Finlay that gave her that character. He just saw something in her, and she went out and did her debut match, and she went backstage, and he was like, I want to show you something, and he brought her into the catering room, and he wiped tables, like threw everything off the table, started flipping tables, and she was like, oh my god, what's wrong, what did I do? And he's like, that's what I want you to do. And she was like, okay. So he just spent so much time with her because he saw that she wanted to learn, she wanted to be the best, you know.
And he was completely right. I mean, the character served her well for, her entire career, really.
Yeah.
I mean, with tweaks here and there, obviously, because that's, you evolve. But it worked perfectly. You know, she again, she looked tough. Is and that's.
And it's nothing against the other women. They all work just as hard. As her. It was just the fact that she was a legit wrestler. You know what I mean? Yeah. And just like Bull Nakano and Alundra Blaze, they were the wrestlers. You had your likes of Sunny and Marlena, but like they were the wrestlers. And I think Victoria, held that kind of moniker. Like,
here's another legit wrestler. Jazz.
It's Jazz.
One of my favorites. And this is kind of the period now where we're getting into where women are getting, more ring time, more opportunities, and they're looking at more than just, a certain build, a certain type. They're bringing in diversity, which is amazing.
And you see at that time,
part in that as well, because like Finlay would have been more of a producer now at this time as well after WCW.
Finlay apparently had a huge hand in a lot of the women's wrestlers, training and character development, etc. At that time. Yeah. He was one of those that they went to because they knew he would respect them and actually, talk to them like people.
Yeah. Like before, they would have kind of been given a plan. They might have had an agent and been told, do this, and this, and that's it. But then, Fitz started giving them advice, and then, slowly but surely, he has a full ring of women wanting to learn. So, he ends up kind of putting on a class, and then that's how it starts. These women are just going to him to get better because, they don't want to just be sitting there looking pretty. They want to be in there, in the ring, like, showing off what they can do and stuff. And I do think he's a credit to women's wrestling, and I think he's helped so many people.
Yeah. And it is in that era again. I know we've mentioned it a couple of times, but I think there was a divide. There were certain performers who were happy to be hired and just kind of rest on their laurels and be the pretty face and do what they had to do. But there were women who may have been hired for that originally, like Trish, who were like, no, I'm I'm here to fucking wrestle, and went and
I
put
wanna
in the
learn.
work and became what Trish became, which is a legend, obviously.
Yes.
At the end of the day, all we really want is respect in the back. And for them, it wasn't about, and for me as well, like, it's not about being, you know, a good female wrestler. It's about being a good wrestler. And I think that's the mind frame so many of these women had. And look what it's created. Like, you know, we have Trish evolved into Charlotte. You know, we have all these women that, you know, back then would have been your stereotypical blonde heel. And now we just have so much variety, you know, you're not kind of boxed in anymore.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's you know, nowadays we are lucky in I mean, I do remember a time when, you know, the women's match were treated as a joke. Now women's matches are some of the, like, I mean, I'm hella looking forward to Rhea Ripley's match coming up in Mania, because I'm a huge Rhea Ripley fan. You know, like Rhea Ripley and Asuka, I think, will take chunks out of each other.
Yeah.
But like, it's kind of where we are now, is that like some of the best wrestling out there is women's wrestling, and if you're not paying attention to it, you are missing out. Like, you really are.
You can't tell me you watched the Women's Royal Rumble and didn't absolutely lose your mind for those last 5 minutes with Bianca and Rhea Ripley.
Oh, yeah,
like,
of course.
Completely.
That like, without a doubt, that was the best part of the Royal Rumble for me. It was just that those 5 minutes where they just absolutely tore lumps out of each other. It was just unbelievable.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I you know, it's what I said. I'm delighted to see it happening. And again, if you're sleeping on women's wrestling, I don't know what you're doing. Like, you're missing some of the best wrestling out there, to be fair. Right, so let us start scoring that one. So change it up. Foxy, you start off this one.
So for that, like, as was explained, when you know the context of the match, knowing that, like, okay, there's a lot of nods to their previous encounters, and for the fact that it was basically a hot start from the get-go, but it was filled with so much character and the nods, and then solid, like, back and forward. But like with Alundra Blaze and Bull Nakano, like, having Luna there, like, she knew her role. Stevie Richards knew full well what his role was.
Yeah.
Get the bare minimum of involvement and let the women shine, because, like, they're that damn good. Like, they don't need a guy to hog the spotlight, as it were.
Yeah.
So, like, having him just get involved, and it is a funny spot, having the fire extinguisher not go off, and then, like, oh, backfired, boom.
There's some sort of metaphor there that it just doesn't seem to be resonating with me. I don't know what it is. Like,
get your mind out of Gore. But but like, I mean, like, the finish, it is literally like going for stratisfaction on counter, boom, outside.
Yeah.
Which is a rare thing to see, like an actual, like, no DQ match actually finish outside when pinfalls can count anywhere. So it's nice to see that. And it was just like, watching it, I'm just like, okay, this is gonna be a kick out, because it doesn't look like a finish. Nope,
Yeah,
that's it.
doesn't
It's a finish. Nice. So I really enjoyed it. I really did. And I'm not gonna underrate, like, Victoria, because, like, goddamn, like, she was so goddamn good. Like, I know we've seen Trish in 2 of the matches, but, like, Victoria, like, definitely was a legitimate wrestler and wanted to be the best as she could possibly be. So I'm giving that a 9.
Yeah, it's a really compelling case, like, because I think like Debbie makes a very great case for Victoria, because I think the key word for me with her is longevity. You know, like, she has gone, as I said, through, like, generations of, like, women's wrestling, and now to the case where, like, not even her WWE run, but she had a run in TNA, she had a run in I think was she in Lucha Underground as well? She was everywhere. Like, she was practically in every promotion you can think of, you know, and even then, like, she has just consistently been at a top level for all that time. And I know from where I stand, like, you know, like, I would fucking love to have her in OTT, because there's so many people. I could name one that she made. I don't know who it could be, but I'm sure there's a lot of people who'd love to face Victoria in an OTT ring. You know, could be anybody. Who knows? But she's top of them, because
Jonathan, I've told you, I'll do it when I'm ready. Okay.
All right, thanks, man. Jesus, like, some people just don't take the hints, you know. Anyway, but But she's one that has a legacy, and the legacy is a body of work, an actual career's worth of success. And like you said, like it's perhaps in a weird way, it's unfair that she's not the first like name on everybody's lips. People will immediately default to like say Alita or Trish because that's the one they remember. But for her body of work, you can't deny it. And I certainly can't deny it either. So I'm going to give her an 8.5 because I think she has been just steadily consistent for so long. Yeah. And even when she came back, you mentioned this year's Rumble, like she was a surprise entrant, and I immediately just went like, why is she not here? Why is she not back in WWE? Could you imagine the matchup she could have now? Like her and Asuka would be brilliant. Her and Bianca would be a great contrast.
50 years of age, and she is just.
She is not 50.
She is 50.
You would not believe that. Yep. You would not believe that at all.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And still able to pull out the moves like
she could still go. Like she can definitely still go. To the point, so I'll go back a little bit. When Debbie first told me she was picking Victoria, I couldn't resist. I kind of had to go back and look at it a little bit myself because it wasn't, and this is kind of what you touched on, Jonathan, and I don't know why this happens, but it wasn't until Debbie said it to me that I remembered how much I liked Victoria.
Yeah.
I had forgotten, and I don't know why, because everything I touched on there, she always came across as legitimate to me. She was always a great worker. I don't remember not enjoying anything she really did. She was always believable. Her execution and everything was great. I don't know why she's kind of slid under the radar a little bit with regards to kind of what you said. Everybody thinks, oh, Lita, Trish, why isn't Victoria / Tara / whatever in that conversation? She had the look, she had the ability, she had the drive. And like that match, again, as we've said for the other matches in there, it was as good as anything else you'd see on the card at the time. Yeah. I mean, that was entertaining from start to finish. And I thought Stevie was involved, obviously, in the end, in the finish, and kind of that was the plan. It was kind of the what would you call it? Fuck, I'm losing words. But the fucky finish, where he was getting involved. But other than that, he was only involved in one other spot, and that was breaking up a pin that would have been a pin on Victoria. So that made sense for him to get involved there. So I like the way he was kind of doing what he should do. He was in the background until his partner was going to lose, and then he got in. It made Trish look strong, and it made Victoria look like the heel.
Yeah,
she should have been. Again, I was reminded how much I enjoy Victoria, and I don't think she gets near the respect she deserves. I got to go high. I got to go 9.
There you go. Hands down. So, Debbie, you're currently leading going into our main event, which is very exciting. But
you're taking
pressure,
on Foxy.
It has to be a good one.
Now, this is a big one. Tell us all about it, Foxy.
So, my pick is actually China, and it would be remiss if she wasn't brought up, because she definitely did not fit the mold of a woman's wrestler. She was bigger than most guys on the roster at the time, and it definitely believable when she would go against guys every so often. But like a trailblazer in the fact that like she's the first woman to ever enter the Royal Rumble, and she's also the first and only woman to win the Intercontinental Championship. Now, she won that in a good housekeeping match with Jeff Jarrett, but I picked her match with Chris Jericho because Jericho was not long on the roster and he was kind of floundering. But it wasn't until this rivalry that people started to take a bit of notice of him, and also it gave China a good chance to really showcase what she could do, especially in that with the championship. So they had a very good back and forward like feud, to the point that like they were co-champions at one point. But I'd be remiss, like it's an understated kind of thing that it's she's the only one to do it.
Yeah.
Like
I think she has to be in the conversation. I think she has to be.
That's not
like,
testament
China
to
did so
how
much.
like how different. Like she was the ninth wonder of the world for a reason.
Mhm.
She wasn't like anyone else. Yeah, I just
Lyrical.
yeah.
Well, without further ado, we'll get it underway. Foxy, if you would do us the honors, please. Does everybody else have it ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so Foxy.
One.
No, right? Jesus, you're gonna do it.
Give me anxiety here, man. Come on.
Oh,
You forget what my job is?
you'd never know it was counting because you do it wrong every episode, right?
All right. 3, 2, 1, ding.
Right, straight off the bat, I'm gonna say, I don't know why I fucking loved her theme song. Right? It was weird, and I loved it.
Not only that, like the pyro.
Don't treat me like you know me.
Oh, it's Lawler's ex-wife.
Oh God, is he on commentary? He's going to be
Yes, he
flipping
is.
out.
Yes, he is.
Dennis, he's always been on commentary. You can't get rid of him. He's like a pad.
Well, it comforts me knowing he'd be getting a divorce shortly after this.
Don't you know he left the company because of her?
Yeah.
He did, and
That's
didn't
why
she
Paul
leave
Heyman
him?
got the job.
Didn't she leave him?
After.
Very shortly afterwards.
Yeah, very shortly after.
Here in the World Wrestling Federation.
So that was.
And I think the first
He definitely
female
picked
to be
the hill to die on, as it were.
Certainly.
But
You know, the only bright side of the
that's not who we're supposed to be talking about. So.
Well, even
It
then, like,
always
China-
struck me as a very kind of, and I you know, I get it's what they were going for, but the mini-me kind of dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jericho and China.
It was kind of funny, just like this, like trying to. And there's little China. There you go.
This start is a testament to Jericho because a lot of people would have been afraid to, go in that direction.
Yeah.
But it's perfect for him because he's the cowardly little chicken shit heel. So it works
perfect.
It's
so
one thing I remember from one of my first times training. I was in with Kaza, and I, being an idiot, took it apparently easy, and I got the head off me. That was in MSW, and I learned a valuable lesson that day, and I've never ever forgotten it, and I never ever will.
It is one of those things that when you start training, you're always going to be very timid, especially when it comes to training with girls. But like, at the end of the day, you have to realize they're here to train, just like you are. So,
100%. Like I got it like instantly. Afterwards, I got it straight. I was like, well, I'm actually being more disrespectful by doing this. So cop on. I'm just gonna fucking hit you, and you hit me back hard. There we go. We're good. You know.
you can be snug and safe. You know what I mean? It's just,
Exactly.
We saw Triple H. We saw the rest of DX.
who's the snuggest person you've ever worked, Katie?
Kaza.
Allow me to be stopped.
But in a good way, it's it's solid, but it's safe.
Yeah.
Yes, like I rather that, to be honest. Like I always preferred that someone actually hit me, and it looks like it actually killed me. Like look at Walter. Like Walter beat the hell out of me. Like
He did actually kill you, didn't he? Like, we are actually talking to your ghost here.
potentially, yeah, like twice over.
Yeah.
So, but like.
The low blow to China is just
Brilliant.
Yeah. Like he's fully in his like chicken shit like gimmick, but like he also adds in a bit of humor with it.
Yeah.
Like unintentionally, I imagine.
LJ Cleary reminds me a lot of Chris Jericho.
Around this area, yeah, definitely.
When
You see
LJ
him-
is playing that heel role, he's just, you can see the influence.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that.
Oh, look at Miss Kitty. What an outfit.
Shut up, Jerry.
It's not easy to do that like outside bump.
Yeah.
Mm.
Whoa!
Oh, that was good.
that did it. High risk by Jericho.
Like, there would have been a lot of guys back then giving it the whole, like, I ain't bumping, brother. I ain't bumping for no woman, brother. But, like, he's just bumping and feeding for her. It's brilliant.
Watch yourself, Miss Kitty.
The only one of the things that I do find that is a downside to this is because Miss Kitty isn't a wrestler and she had no intention of being a wrestler. She gets involved too much to the point that it's like, no, go away, go away.
No,
Yeah, I would have liked her backing off a little more than kind of being there while Jericho was over.
Like, it's a stark contrast to the previous like matches that we've had someone on the outside with
Now there's something you don't see very often.
the barricade.
Taking off the padding.
See, it's difficult as well because, you know, normally it's the heel that has the side piece or the valet or the manager. So to do
That's
it in
right.
a kind of a baby face kind of manner, it's difficult. She kind of has to try and help as much as she can. She's trying to be the good guy. But at the same time, you know, it's difficult to kind of, you know when you should kind of stay out and not get involved, you know. Because if you're a heel, you know, you're tactical, you're waiting for the perfect moment.
Yeah. Like, I know it comes with experience, but like at the same time, it's like, come on. Like, they should have at least taught you, like know your spots.
The end may be near here for China because Jericho has pulled out all the stops here.
But I will say that Miss Key is the example of what like is the complete opposite of what we've seen in the previous matches. Like, everyone else that we've seen wanted to be wrestlers. They wanted to prove that they were the best. They wanted to get better constantly and be held in high regard. Whereas, like, Miss Key is the example of that diva era.
Yeah,
Just
it's a great
before
contrast
Diva
between her and China. Like, you know, like the actual difference in, I suppose, like approach is probably the best way of putting it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
definitely.
like the little sell there from China. He was hitting some pretty stiff looking knees there, but she just kind of crumpled. You know, it was just it's just little things like that was really nice.
Oh, China rolled through inside cradle and that was close. Wow, that was close. Jericho, if this match were scored on points, it'd have to be ahead. Certainly, I think objectively. And the ribs. Jericho buried that kick.
He's always been his best when he's the dickhead heel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lack of a better term, somewhat toying with the
Like, you can tell he's a dickhead just from the haircut. Like, just a simple thing like that. It's just like no one in their right mind would have a haircut like that. Come on, like.
When I got there, he was conscious. Well,
Isn't that when he on his debut he had the top knot thing and he walked past Vince and Vince just kind of looked at him and he went, it's cheap heat. And Vince just started laughing or something.
Like, you can always tell who grew up watching Jericho, because they'll always do that in training. That cocky kid's like, come on, baby!
He always keep talking about putting Omaha Steaks. If
I'm not
actually
gonna lie, like,
they're Jericho, man, that's how it works, isn't it?
I'm not gonna lie, like, when I started wrestling, like, I actually looked like young Jericho, like, with the long hair.
To be fair, actually, because you had the hair to go with it, yeah.
Yeah. I was just lacking the build, as it were, because I was a scrawny
You do line salts as well, or did I just dream that once?
No, I did. I used to do the lines.
I thought I hallucinated that. Never mind.
Oh, look at this.
What the?
He's standing right in front of us here.
Sorry, do you mind?
She has any
Sorry, bear with me. Animal is taking control here. Down
Down
loop. There we go. Now.
Jericho looking for the spinning heel kick and a nice nip up by Jericho. Oh, he's really showing out.
He's going full WCW on him.
Yeah, but you see, I kind of like it in that it's still telling the overconfident story,
Yeah.
which is a classic tried and true story. Being overly cocky and then you eventually get your comeuppance.
What's brilliant is that, like, in this, like, now we've seen trying to get a little bit of offense in, but I mean, it hadn't been seen for her to, like, take a beating, basically. Most of the time, they'd always book her to be, like, really strong and just, like, beat up anyone that came across her path. So it was a very big, an eye-opening experience to see her actually take a beating and actually fight from that.
Yeah.
Be the underdog. Maybe a malfunction there.
Yes.
Oh!
Spear.
I love Earl just going like, no, stop it, please, no, get off him, no, stop it, yeah, stop it.
It's like 2 minutes, guys. 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Whenever you're ready, wrap this up. Yeah, cool. I've got some shirts to sell. Come on, lads. Ready for
Jericho finds himself in a whole heck of a lot of trouble.
Man, start taking it home. That's probably why he's like, I miss him.
Fair, he's losing.
A time job, China.
I dare you to try.
Oh.
Boom.
Oh, nice.
Ended up what could have been very messy. Actually ended up being a really nice powerbomb.
Yeah, saved it very well, yeah.
Like, this is what really started to let Jericho shine. Like I know we're talking about China, but like this, like,
But that is directly to do with China.
Yeah, if
that is. It's that feud.
Like how good he actually is. That's almost just like
credit to him as well for doing it, because a lot of lads would have been very weird about having a feud with China and losing.
This is what Debbie was saying earlier on, that a lot of guys would be like, yeah, I ain't bumping for her or whatever,
Yeah.
Like, I've listened to podcasts with like Billy Gunn and X-Pac, and they're just non-stop about her work ethic.
Yeah.
And like Sean Waltman, like X-Pac, was saying that how her shots were so tight and so snug, and that he'd rather take a shot off like Bam Bam Bigelow than one off China because she was so stiff.
Yeah.
I was actually going to reference, there was a couple of punches she was hitting at Jericho. I was like, ooh, she is laying them in.
Yeah.
Like,
He almost became a broad. Well, he's the one that said he'd do it. And China now, those...
Ow.
What was that?
Ow.
Or did she thumb his eye?
Yeah, she caught his eye.
Oh, that's a unique little ref bump.
To be fair, if you sneeze at Foxy, he does the exact same thing.
Take the notes. Take the notes.
Since starting this, Foxy has a fucking refill pad full of goddamn notes.
I'm living for the day of the roll-up bump, lads, I'm telling you.
Yeah, just for context, like, over the course of like this, we've actually been just starting a list of different bumps or spots that I do when we start back wrestling.
Amazing.
To be honest, I'm actually excited because it's hilarious. I can't wait for it.
Oh,
very nice leg kicker.
The double hook as well was good.
Yeah.
Like, they're a testament to each other. They're both helping each other. Like,
yeah. Oh, nice.
You see, a little bit earlier on, I was gonna say she seems like she's gassed, but then she did her whole backflip cartwheel thing, and I was like, okay, maybe not.
Yeah.
Well, that's more a case of like, that's my spot. I need to get it in, regardless whether I'm gassed.
Muscle memory will help you out there. Yeah.
Was China the heel here?
No.
Or were the crowd just bipartisan?
Yeah.
Jericho's heel.
Yeah.
Okay.
it'd be during this feud that he'd start to like do the change.
Yeah, he's still in WCW mode.
Yes,
He's-
he is.
Gonna get stuck in this out now, lads. Watch.
You can see some of this in AEW now though as well. Kind of crazy.
Yeah. Certain elements of
which
it.
the kind of tantrumy
Yeah.
cell.
This could be another superplex upcoming here. I don't know how much more China can take of this.
I know.
Yeah, I don't think he needed to.
Just off screen with Miss Kitty.
Oh.
As you do.
Oh, I forgot about this.
A Pepsi plunge.
Is she going for what? There's no way.
Oh, brilliant.
Pedigree from the top rope.
Yes.
China hit the pedigree from the top rope.
In fairness, that is a
Great,
like, God
great
tier.
finish. Great finish.
If that's not finished, then goddamn it, like
No, nothing. nothing
Oh,
will
look,
be.
if that's not a finish, you've killed the move.
Yes.
Like, you know, like
basically
at that
pissed all over
stage.
Triple H.
Yeah. Yeah. So, great match. Debbie, would you like to start this one? To finish us off.
This is a brilliant match, honestly. One of my favorites as well. And I actually was saying to Dennis I was struggling to pick between Victoria and China because I think the two of them have been such a huge influence on me. I think, China's a trailblazer. I think this match is just shows that like anything is possible. And she's ticked so many boxes, and you have the likes of Victoria, Beth Phoenix, Nia Jax that kind of followed in her footsteps. So without a doubt, she's influenced pretty much every era within the WWE. She 100% should be inducted into the Hall of Fame as a singles competitor. She's done so much not to. 10 out of 10 for me. China is number one. China's the best.
Very, very fair. China, I mean, Jesus, there's not much to say except what Debbie's already said. I mean, she changed a lot of things and a lot of perceptions when she was around. She, as Foxy touched on before, she wasn't what people thought at the time. Was what the female superstar would look like. She was bigger and better built and looked better and more athletic than a lot of the guys that were there, and she could probably kick the shit out of most of the guys that were there legit as well.
Did.
Yeah, probably did. She had some of the most entertaining feuds. I mean, her and Eddie. I always like Mamacita. It's her and Eddie was entertainment just completely. Her and Jericho had great feuds as well. Even her versus Right to Censor and stuff, because we touched on them earlier on. There was so much enjoyment to be had from what China did. She was one of the standouts from DX at the time as well, and I agree. Like the fact she kind of hasn't been acknowledged as a solo competitor in the Hall of Fame is a bit of a travesty, and hopefully that will happen down the line. But I mean, it's China again. I have to go high, it's a really tough one. I think I still haven't given out a 10 in this show, and I don't think I'm going to do it here.
You're a real tough marker, man. You're a real tough marker.
The only reason I'm taking it off, you see, if I can't find a reason, then I have to give it 10. But the only reason I was going to take something off was I think that. No, you see that? Do you know what? I have to go 10.
There you go. You got there.
Because I was gonna say it seemed like she always had to be paired with somebody to do it, but that's not true either. So because she did just fine on her own as well later on. So my argument was invalid. So yeah, I gotta agree. I gotta go high.
Yeah, like that's part of my thinking as well. Like, because I get with China, like China was like a force of nature in that sense, and like such a unique person in the fact that like she had the frame, she had the build, and she was just able to go toe to toe with most of the men on the roster. You know, like you'd imagine like she'd be in the ring and the likes of even fucking like Taker and Us and Kane's going, no, I'm off, lads. I'm going. I've got a fucking poker game. Yeah, good luck. I see you later. You can imagine that. You can absolutely imagine that. And but I would say that like influence, absolutely hands down. The fact that like she was the first person to do a lot of things makes complete sense for her to do it, because no one else could have done it. You know, no one else at the time would have been able to do it.
The first and still the only holder of a male's title,
A male belt, yeah, absolutely,
in WWE history, you know.
Yeah, and that's not for nothing either, you know. And I think like I suppose like as an inspiration, like for women growing up watching that, it's huge, because you're thinking like, yeah, no, it is possible. Like she has become the first person, and everyone else can follow suit then after that. Mm-hmm. And then when you see this kind of like this great trend of having like intergender wrestling, like that stuff couldn't have happened without China versus Chris Jericho or China versus Eddie. You know, you couldn't have had that without it. You know, so that's a huge plus as well. I'd say that in terms of like people to emulate, there'll be people like Lita and Victoria you could get to easier, because you obviously got to be more diminutive. You're going to be able to aim for them more than you would China. So for me, I'm going to give her a 9.5, but it's really just because of like, it's easier to emulate someone like Lita and say AJ, for example, rather than just being like this 6'4" specimen, you know, the kind of way. Like it's very hard to have those kind of genetics there, you know. But again, she had all the tools there, and she absolutely fucking used them. Like you could not say she wasted anything that she had. Mm-hmm. And again, her legacy is well justified. Like she should be a top tier Hall of Famer, no doubt. Like not an auxiliary, like, oh, and China's also here. No, she is number one on the ballot. There's no doubt about that. And especially in like an age now where, especially companies like WWE are like sounding the horn about how they're like elevating women's wrestling, giving them main events at WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. They can't really stand by that until they put the person in that defined it to begin with. You know, like it's not hypocritical, but you have to back it up, and backing up is putting China in the Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. And it's insane to think that she's still not in it. But
you know, I'm always find myself thinking, as like, could you imagine if China was in there with a roster of women now?
Yeah.
Like some of the I mean, her and Rhea, or her and Bianca. Like, I mean, Jesus Christ, you could really have some amazing matches there.
Could you imagine a match with herself and AJ Lee?
Yeah, just like, the contrast alone, like, yeah.
Contrast, but also two very talented at utilizing their size and their natural abilities.
Yeah.
So can you imagine?
Well, you could tell a great story.
Exactly.
You know, you could tell your great story, where you have the obviously much more physically imposing woman against the smaller stature who can fly around the ring and get you wrapped up in a submission in a heartbeat. You know, like, fantastic. Yeah. So I think our winner is China. I do believe
it is. Yes. A good class, but yeah, China definitely wins out there. So well done, Voxy. Good shout.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think we can any of us can really deny that, really, can we? Like it's hands down.
Like, I think it's a fair winner. Fair winner. But you know, all were contenders. It was another kind of show we've had where it was high scoring. It was, you know, all of those ladies could lay claim to that, and you could make a genuine argument really for any of them to be number one in it. It's just in our opinion. And of course, if you don't agree with our opinion, please let Jonathan know, not me, in the comment section below.
Don't leave that fucking nuke for me.
Give us a like and subscribe. We've lots of stuff on the Nerds Are Us channel, lots to do with wrestling, comic books, all that good stuff as well. And we will have more very, very shortly. Big, huge thank you to our very special guest, the Woke Queen herself, Debbie Keitel. Make sure you check out all our stuff. Debbie, you've got some stuff, or where can people go check you out and stuff?
So you can find me on Twitter at Debbie Keitel. You can find me on Instagram at the_Debbie_Keitel. You can buy my merch, which is out now and available till April 12th. And you can get that at debbiekeitel.bigcartel.com. I don't have Facebook, but
I'm pretty certain actually we can pop a link for that Big Cartel down in the description as well. Is that possible,
It'll
Jonathan?
be in the center of the screen, don't worry.
Yeah, so if you please do support Irish wrestling and Irish women's wrestling, and one of the best in the Irish wrestling scene, Debbie Keitel. Click that link down below, buy her shirt, buy all her stuff. I swear she's not giving us a cut. But, you know, but again, Debbie, thank you for joining us. And thank you for watching as well. And we will be back very, very soon. And join us then. Bye.
Bye.